This is a Windows Phone 7 game review of Gravity Guy, which is available in the marketplace for $2.99 and is this week's new Xbox Live game title. So this is actually a mini-clip game, so it's on that website miniclip.com, and you can actually go and play it for free. But they made a Windows Phone version. So there's single player or there's local multiplayer. You can play with up to 4 of your friends locally. But in the single player there's a story mode which has 30 levels total, or endless or practice. So the story mode, it's extremely tough and it really challenges you, but you get the idea of the game and you learn how to play it. It's kind of like the Impossible game, which you may have seen, because each level is practically impossible and you have to try it multiple times in order to perfect it. So you'll find yourself playing each level over and over and over and over and over again until you can actually beat each level. And there's 30 levels total, and that'll probably last you between an hour and 2 hours. You could get through it a lot faster, but you could also take a really long time. And I'm taking a really long time to get through it. It took me about an hour and 45 minutes or so, because I had to retry it so many times, and it's truly difficult. And this is the first game that actually made me just want to throw my phone against the wall. I was cursing at it because it was so annoyingly difficult. So that could be a good thing, it matters what you think about it, but I kind of found that really annoying about the game. There's plenty of variation and visual variation in the game too, and there's different challenges, different speeds that the character runs at, so the game always does stay pretty interesting. And once you do complete a level, you get a really great feeling of satisfaction just because it took you so long to complete it. But personally, I think the difficulty is just too tough, and a lot of it is just almost based on luck. And you always almost have to retry a level because sometimes you have to make a complete guess in the dark where you should go next until you actually run through it and then fail, and then you know what to do. So that can be pretty annoying if you don't like that in a game. However, it's very much like the Impossible game, and if you like that style of gameplay, it is a pretty cool game. But what's even cooler about the game is that they have multiplayer in it. So if you go to the play menu, you can select multiplayer, and you can play with up to 4 friends locally, so you have to play on the same phone here. But you can just tap multiple people to join. So right now I'll play with 2 people. And what you do is each player taps on his own side of the screen. And so I didn't really explain the gameplay of the game yet, but basically you just reverse gravity by tapping on the screen, and you use that to navigate the playing field in front of you. So it's a pretty interesting game, and it's a cool concept. And it's really nice to see the addition of local multiplayer, because not too many games have that. So it's really fun to play with that. And then you can keep on playing through multiple rounds and see who comes out on top. So that's really fun to play with your friends. There's also an endless gameplay mode for single player, which is really fun. And in this endless mode, you basically just race with 1 life and see how far you can get. And it keeps on changing the track slightly each time, so it stays interesting. And you go for as high of a score as possible, so basically you have to last as long as possible. And then your scores are submitted to the leaderboards. So it's really fun to play with your friends and compete with them and see how they're doing compared to you. So that's a nice addition that increases the lasting value. Now sometimes the screen does freeze up a little, like it did there. It glitched up a slight second, and that can screw you over. That can be really annoying on the endless mode. On the story mode, it doesn't really matter because you have infinite retries and there's no life, so it doesn't really matter. And there's also a practice mode in the single player where you can pick any level that you've already completed in the story and replay it. As you can see, there's 30 levels total, and I got to level 29 and it's insanely difficult. So I kind of gave up there. But overall, this game is pretty cool. It has some unique gameplay, really challenging gameplay, and the lasting value is pretty good at about 2 hours total with that endless gameplay mode, and then you have all that extra stuff like the multiplayer mode, which you can play around with your friends. So that's really cool. And overall, the visuals are pretty good, and the menu transitions look really nice. And overall, the game is pretty fluid. It loads fast, and it's a pretty cool game. It is definitely worth checking out, but if you're easily frustrated, even if you're not easily frustrated, but if you think you might get a little ticked off at the game, I recommend not buying it because it can have a habit of doing that to you. So nevertheless, you can check out Gravity Guy in the marketplace for $2.99, and it is an Xbox Live title, so you got those leaderboards and achievements to play around with.